Hi, welcome to the next round of upgrade series. Today we're going to be doing Dynamite. So this is one of the other decks. So you get right out of the gate when you create a brand new arena account. We're basically starting from where we left off with Path of Power. So if you want to watch the Path of Power upgrades and the deck video, go ahead and check that out. It aired up earlier this week. Dynamite is next on my agenda, so we're going to go ahead and get right into it. After doing both of the other two decks, Fairy Pranks and Path of Peril. So I think these are the decks that I think are most easy to try to keep coming forward. They have a direct path and how the deck actually functions and everything. So Dynamite, we already have some upgrades immediately out of the gate thanks to Path of Peril. So Path of Power. So if you like this kind of series, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification for future videos. We're on our way to 1,000 subs. Let's get there and let's get monetized so we can help out the tournament series. And let's get into the deck list as of now and see the deck in action. So starting off with Path of Peril. Oh my god, Dynamite. Ugh, sorry. With Path of Power, we bought our resources and got one more Llanowar Elf and 4 Elvish Mystics. So by contrast, we have the exact same starting point with dinosaurs, which is really strong. We definitely are going to keep migrating this deck. We've used all of our commons, 20 of them that we had from opening up all our packs that you get for just creating the account. So that was pretty sweet. We will be investing probably about 3 uncommons of this into here. The Dino Automaton and the Ken Collar are the weakest dinosaurs in our deck. The Impresence of Ages also is not that important to this strategy. There's definitely some options that we might want to do, which is some removal, stuff like that, because we are right now kind of just all in on the actual 31 creatures. Not necessarily the greatest. In the sideboard, though, we did get a lot of upgrades thanks to Path of Power 2, which allowed us to get Pyroclasms, some Torch Towers, so we got some removal in the board. So that's what we're trying out today on the ladder. Let's get into it. So start off with an elf. Thank you. Now we're probably gonna play the Cindermaw next. Baroque Shock. Get rid of a forest, I think. Could have got rid of an elf. Oh, 7/6 mana, 7/7. It's definitely rough. Play the 4/3 they go. This card is kind of weak. Alright, Fatal Mirror Breaker. Ken Collar. We can't even gain life anyways. That's a combo. Hit you for 4. So there you go. We are going to be ramping into the 7/7. Got 5 manas. We draw any land we can get there. Archon of Emeria? Interesting. You're going to take out our Cindermaw? Like I said, we might... I don't know what we're going to start with when it comes to initial upgrades. We will block. That does enable Fatal Push, which... I mean, could enable it anyways because of the treasure. Alright. Play a 6 mana 7/7. Alright. Prompting Carnosaur. Weirdly enough, we don't have another land. That's a red source. So they go. You gotta kill my 7/7? Sure, Path of Peril. I mean, a Fatal Push. I don't really want to have to cycle this. Or discard it to get rid of the reflection. I think I shove for 10. Which forces him to jump. Okay. I think I have to get rid of the reflection. Crack that map. I guess that's okay. Play another elf. There you go. Now we do need one more red sources. Fable the Mirror Breaker, getting that, bringing that back. Play a 5/3, I guess. Does that go? Bone Crusher. Sure, stomps it. Okay. So he attacks me. Block. You could have a burn spell, but I don't really have a choice. He also might have a fatal push for the hulking raptor. Then again, he just sacks the treasure if he really wants it to kill it. Against command. Are you gonna play a Kroxa? Push. Okay, so he taps out. We are running out of resources. Go. Question is, what are we doing here? Another Fable. It loses its mode if it comes over to the reflection side. Oh, jeez. Another elf. Discard some lands, and I get to replay them with the Sarah Paragon. He probably just brings back Kroxa. I'm not thinking we can win from this point. I mean, he has his random planes that doesn't really help him. Yeah, you can't really cast a Kroxa. I can't win with this. I think pick your poison. A lot of hit removal. We could bring in some Veils. And probably Dragonfire. Seems okay. Not really an artifact-based deck, though. Ken Collar could be cut. And Presence. Probably a Case, too, to be honest. Cut the Stompers, run it like that. Play a Backwoods. Go! Tap land, play another Backwoods. Go! Strict Proctor. Play a Center Maw. Go! Swamp. Kroxa. Okay. So now he has a Kroxa. I think I played Case. Go. Attacks for 6. Get rid of the Dino. Take it. Alright. Play Hulking Raptor. So they go. Actually, we'll shove for 4. Go. I think at this point, I just kind of have to just keep smacking. This Kroxa is going to race me no matter what I do. I think I get rid of that. Take my beats. Play a Llanowar Elf. That's a chump blocker. Shove in there. Yeah, smack you. Go. Attempt to pump it. This is very risky because, yes, I get my Case online, but because my elf, I just lose. Alright, 0-1. Let's get into the next. I land. Go. So, control possibly. Play a landwork. Nope. Or Elvish Mystic. Dino? Maybe? No more lies. Yeah. Another elf. Narset. Goes digging. Whiffs. Think. This card does not work on his current board state. Hit Narset. Go.
Fury will only lead you astray.
Oh my god, he grasped my board. Sure. Slendermaw. Goop. Now, we are definitely worse with this deck into control, right? This is not one of the matchups where we ever want to see it. Normally, dinosaurs, we could change our deck. If he answers my Slendermaw, I think that's GG's. Yeah. Scoop it up. So against control, case, veil. What else? What's actively bad in this matchup? Probably not that many elves. That is useless. Dragonfire can hit planeswalkers. Kencaller and presence for maybe Kencaller is better than that. I'd rather just have creatures. I don't like that. Forest, goop. Tap land. Play a mountain, goop. Play a Cindermaw, goop. Alright, answers it, sure. Oh crap, Rockside is just bad. Should check that out too. Crack it. Go. Marches it. Yeah. A case. Get rid of the rock slide. More lands. 25 lands. Probably want to trim that a little bit. This deck, I think, wants to be pivoting more towards a lower to the curve style dinosaur deck. Marches. Ugh, that's so bad. That is so bad. Alright. Dinosaur. Alright. Don't care about that dinosaur, but we'll keep this one. So next turn we can play a mountain, leave up Veil. And well, also... shove in there. Sure. Are we gonna minus it?
Run away. You'll be safer.
Protect. Hit you for 8. Say go. There's a verdict. Probably upticks the Wandering Emperor.
Remember your training.
So we play Raptor. Draw. Get rid of the Emperor. Let go.
See you later.
So he has an Anchorage. He picks up Kihira. That's not terrible. For me, plays the Kihira. Play the land. Ping you. Say go. I'm not offering that trade. Sadly, we have too many lands. Probably start getting frisky. Yeah, take it. Now, this is where it's awkward, right? I could cast this. It's into a counter spell. Or I could just take this thing out and get frisky. We're dinosaurs. We're here to take risk. No whammies, please. Thank you. Good card. Another elf. Classic. Seem to do this quite often. I Carnosaur into an elf. Alright, so he takes 4 for playing the Deluge at instant speed. Now we get to hopefully attack with the Carnosaur. Let's see if that actually pans out for us, but there's a good chance that it might not. Farewell. Alright, Kencaller, go. So we do need to find more stuff. I think we want to cut the Gulta out of the stack. All right, so he's tapping out, so he doesn't even have the anchorage up anymore. Okay. But I do want to keep the Carnosaur, I think, in this deck. It's nice to have like a 1 of 6 drop. Do you have a Get Lost or something? Okay. Man, we are drawing so many lands. Go. Ah, so rough. He can turn on an anchorage. I just don't think I just kind of have to go for it. I do think this deck has a shot, though. Like, if we keep getting the best uncommon dinosaurs, I think we might be able to do something. This has, I think, an actual good shot there. Centermount, Raptor, pretty reasonable dinosaurs for uncommons. You even have something like your short target artifact enchantment. So you have Thrashy McGee's. So you have potential axes that you could do in dinosaurs for 3 mana. No, we're just getting ran over now. Pretty sure that's game. Yeah. 0-3. Or wait, 0-2, I believe, actually. Let's get into the adjustments. So after playing with this deck, like, this deck is kind of weird, right? For one, we don't want this many lands. So that is definitely the case, right? And with that, we have to start cutting back on our giant stuff. I'm gonna keep the honorary Dreadmaw in the deck, just because it's Dreadmaw, but besides that, this is kind of where we want to be, like, as an actual deck. Dinosaurs, though, in general, like, we have a lot of potential here. A lot of uncommons. We also, of course, could do something like removal is another possible avenue. Like, we have Thrashy McGee's we could do. I mean, this isn't very good. This is not very good. That's not very where we want to be either. These are too high on the curve. Like I said, 4 mana's topping. I'd rather not be up that high. A 4 mana 5/4/5 is okay. It's definitely better than a Dinotomaton. Maton. I can't say it. I can't say it, chat. I can't say it, viewer. So I do think I want to go ahead and add some stuff in here. I don't want to add too much. I don't want to waste up all my uncommon wild cards. I think I want to do 5. Or I could just do some removal. A little bit of removal in the main. There doesn't seem to be any good enrage things at the uncommon slot, so that doesn't seem to be something we're going to be targeting. So Reckless Rage doesn't seem part of the equation, but that's okay. I do think we want Yearling as a 4 play set. It is a pretty aggressive dinosaur, and that seems to lower our curve a little bit. So our 2.7 is our curve there. And we don't really have any way of doing enrage. So instead, I think we're going to go ahead and target something that's universal. Again, I want to try to do something that's good for this deck as well as some other decks. I could do Chomp. Let me look at my other cards in this deck. Rock Slide is also pretty medium. And then we have Ken Caller potentially as well. I could just literally just put in 3 Chomps and call it a day. And that seems like that would be pretty actually reasonable. But that Chomp I don't think is very good in Pioneer, which is what we're trying to actually build towards. Now, sideboard-wise, we could definitely bring in some Chandra's Defeat. This could be replaced with the Torch the Towers or Dragon Fires. We could bring Dragon Fires in the main. And that seems like that could be pretty reasonable. Defeat also is pretty good against Prowess, which is also pretty high in the current meta. The other possibility is in the main, I could play it towards the aggressive side of this deck. And that could be something I want to do as well. Monstrous Rage is a really good magic card. And if we could somehow play towards that, we might be in business, like aggressively stats. I have not tried a dinosaur deck with Monstrous Rage in it, and that could be something that might be worth some slots. Because we also still have access to our burn spell, right? We have still Burst Lightning we could do. So with that knowledge in mind, we can cut this, right? And maybe even the King Caller. Actually, is Dino worse? Probably. And we could do something like this, right? Where the deck is actually just much more lower to the ground. So I really like this kind of potential pivot. We're just building a dinosaur deck. I think that actually could be quite competitive. Yearling is pretty good. We have Centermaw. We have Raptor. Ken Color is the only one that I think is the one that's going to be on the way out. And we've used our uncommon wild cards, which is fine. Monstrous Rage is playing to the potential out for a burn deck, right? Besides that, like I said, I really think we want something else over Ken Caller. The issue is, like, most of our other dinosaurs are in the upper price tag when it comes to like mana value. So, like, this Ken Caller might just have to be stuck here, just because we don't have access to much. We could instead play Burn. That could be a possibility. Yeah, that probably is pretty fine, actually. So we could just add some damage type effects. A little bit more removal. Shock could be a possibility, but I don't think that's something we want. I want something that goes face, if possible. Because this is definitely a deck that needs to be on the more aggressive side of it. Hunter's Talent also is pretty reasonable. Being able to fight, draw cards. Do have a decent amount of chunky things. Yeah, that could be a possibility. I mean, that is overlapping with the other deck that we already did. But then again, like I said, I don't want us to go down the path of it being a very similar deck, right? So, I'm not a fan of that. So I'm going to stick with something a little more generic. Scorching Shot is going to be very tricky. I mean, we have a very bad mana base. 2 colored. We could do another Braid, but seems... I'm thinking Dragonfire. I'm thinking Torch needs to be in the main. And then Dragonfire in the side. It being more efficient means it's probably just better to have it in the main. Or something like Dragonfire. And we could just... I don't want another Braid. But, you know what I mean. Like, we could do something like this. And the other last slot in the main. Like, we could do... Do we have Case in the board? We do. So we could do something like that has a draw effect. That's another possibility. So I don't want to take too long here. What about a 2-drop? Is there any 2-drops that are good? What about Trample? We have chunky guys as well. I mean, that could be... I don't know, we want to do a Battle Rage. So I don't really want to mix the themes between the decks that we have access to. Running out of ideas. Like, I think the Moo removal package is better. I don't really want to play that Dino. I guess 1 Hunter's Talent and 1. I guess that's fine. So that is a decent amount of upgrades. We cut our land count down to 23 because our curve is much lower now to the ground, which is kind of where you want to be with this deck. Commune could be an option. Sadly, we don't have the Commune with dinosaurs. But, you know, I think this is a good spot. Let's get into the last match. Okay, so we're facing Mono Green Devotion. Very interesting. Snap Plant. Go. Drew our Monstrous Rage, which is kind of interesting as well. Said I've not really played this kind of dinosaur deck. Ping you. Go. Next turn, we could play a Yearling plus Burst if he does not do something of value this turn. Play Yearling. Get rid of the elf. You might have an Archdruid Charm. Yeah. Get a nick those. Yep. So he produces 5 mana this turn to get Cav. It's pretty decent. For us, okay, he's gonna have to untap to nick those. Now he gets another 5 mana. So if we hit Pugs, kind of want to draw an untapped land here. Maybe we could Pugs plus Rage. Or something like that. This is going to be very tricky. Haven and a Troll. Yeah, so this is going to be a very tricky matchup in general. So, Pugs. Become 6. Smash you. Go. So I think like the deck that's going to be the most rewarding out of what we've done so far is going to be Fairies. I think Fairies is going to be the deck that has a lot of room to actually make the deck become pretty solid. This deck, both the other two decks, I think is going to have a ceiling, and it's going to be very difficult to get over that ceiling. So I'm curious to see how that pans out. He still has to untap his Nykthos, right? Assuming he wants to. Or has a need to.
I love to make a splash.
So if I do... I think I just do this. Again, it has a shield counter. So if I attack with Pugs, he just takes this out. And all I remove is a shield counter. I think I just say go. And the advantage of this is I could just chump and take 6 and remove the shield counter. He's going to sack that, lose his Haven, just to make a 4/4 to draw. I mean, that's fine. So he could easily turn on a gigantic layer if he wanted to. Pretty humorous that it made him tap his Nykthos there, though. Turns on the layer. Okay, that works. You have a 14/14. You chump. No attacks with the Titan. And sadly, it made me tap my other red source. Yep. So at this point, we're just going to keep trying and praying that he eventually attacks with this Titan. If he does, we can get it back with a Pugs plus Rage. But that's probably not enough to do anything. Archdruid's Charm gets a Ulamog. Yeah. Okay. Next game. Against Mono Green. 3 damage is not doing anything in this matchup. Pick your poison to get rid of the ley lines. Not really an artifact deck. I could bring in Pyroclasms to answer his elves and cut back on my own elves. And I could just answer his elves and run it like this, I guess. Mountain, go. He probably plays land and elf, I had to guess. So our curve is pretty solid. Go. Forest. Haven. Pugs. Go. Now, when it comes to mana bases, the thing that we're probably going to actually try to go for budget purposes on Arena, is honestly the Trail Lands. The Slow Lands. Or not the Slow Lands, but the double check. Alright, so we play Hulking Raptor. And shove for 6. Next turn is when we can get really frisky. Go. He needs something this turn. Otherwise, we just kind of crush him. Titan of Industry. Makes a 4/4 and you gain 5? Okay. I'm not sure how this works. We'll attack. Because if it just deals damage... Okay, so it doesn't deal any damage. Got it. I couldn't remember if it actually still had the damage on it. It just couldn't be destroyed by it. Go. So now we should be able to just trample over that, but this might be too difficult. Another dang Titan Industry. So this is a... I actually like this version of a... Him and his shield counters. Take it. See what you do. I am dead on the back swing. Swing. Yeah, we're doing damage. Alright, scoop it up. 0-3. Let's get into the wrap up. Alright, so what do we want to speak about this deck for now? We are on the process of actually upgrading this deck still. I mean, it's still there, kind of. I mean, we definitely went 0-3. We only have one game in, though, or one match in with this deck, and we faced a pretty dang bad matchup in general. They just go over the top of us. We only have one Pugs, which makes it a lot more tricky. But what I do think is eventually we're going to get to the point where we can start getting the Trail Lands. These are actually really good for Arena when it comes to this series in particular. It is an uncommon land, and it can't ETB untapped. It is a dual land. So, like, it is one of those lands I think I will probably be taking the backwoods out or some of our those lands. Sadly, the Snarls are not uncommons. So, that kind of sucks. But, yeah. I'm not sure if... I can't remember which ones are all... that's from, I think, Innistrad. I mean, not Innistrad, but... It's from Shadows. Yeah, so these are all uncommon. So, Port Town, the Demir. So, actually, all the colors that we are working with, they can get these lands, which I think are decent for an uncommon land. You definitely would not play these if you can get somewhere really up, higher up. But for an uncommon land, these are actually really solid. So, keep that in mind. So once we get to the point of upgrading this mana base, the deck will be a little bit stronger in general. We're just having some issues there sometimes. But I do think I want to add some more torches to the deck. I want to have like 8 removal spells, preferably. And I mean, Yearling, we definitely want some more bigger things for Yearling to do its power with. I'm not sure how I go about that without having these two are rare, so I can't touch them. And Carnosaur. We don't really want Dreadmoss. Like, that's not where we want to be. We're only keeping the one copy in here because it is a meme. So it's a nice little flashback dinosaur meme. When we get to the point, I think when we do 2 more iterations, this might just get cut for a hyper competitive list as much as we can. But yeah, so that's what we're doing. So yeah, so 'cause eventually we will have game trail in here, and for fairy pranks, we'll have the other one. So that this is the deck I think it's going to get the highest ceiling, just because the strategy of it is not restricted like these two, like having dinosaurs or being a deck that cares about 4 power creatures or higher. These two are very restricted. This one isn't. I'm curious. I'm trying to find another deck in here. Maybe a Ram deck might be kind of interesting. But like I said, I want to know what you guys think. Which decks you guys want me to do out of this stuff. Like Saddle Up also is very restricted because this is very block constructed. This could have some upgrades as well. But we're going to get to the point once we finish the ones we want to. Based on what your comment section, we will start migrating into taking our uncommons and commons and invest in decks. So we're gonna I'll probably make a episode where I build a deck, and we'll start working towards it. So if you're interested in a deck building video, check it out. It's going to be coming probably pretty soon, and I already know what deck we're doing right out of the get-go, which I think is the strongest deck we can make for uncommons and commons. Based off of how this stuff is going. So, but until next time, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.